Greetings, Nick with Sweetwater here, and today I've got the distinct honor, privilege and pleasure of having the one, the only Satchel from Steel Panther, and we're here to discuss why 80s metal and the riffs and the licks rule. So why is that the case, my friend?
Well, I mean, that's a very deep question. Why do the 80s riffs rule so much? Well, I mean, metal was in its prime, right? And I think, I think that people were trying to outdo each other with bitchin' riffs back then. Let's face it. I mean, there was a lot of great bands, Motley Crue. I mean, listen, there was a foundation of awesomeness from the 70s. You know, bands like Black Sabbath. You know, bands like Rush. You know, I mean, listen. I mean, that was like early 70s, right? And you have Rush. You know, a lot of cool riffs, but the 80s came in hardcore, you know, right out of the gate with some really, really awesome. I mean, that's still a classic. They still play it at, football games and stuff, right? So
as they should. As
they should, because there was so much creativity going on back then, and I think guitar was probably the most driving instrument in music back then. All the hit songs on the radio were guitar-driven, awesome songs, and metal. I mean, it was, I think, the first big #1 heavy metal album was in Quiet Riot, right?
Yeah, that was.
We were just talking about Rudy Sarzo before they started. Rudy Sarzo, who's been in more bands than any other person on planet Earth. Ever. And you can look that up on Wikipedia. So it's true, it's got to be true.
And if it's not true, we'll change it.
That's the great thing about Wikipedia. You can just make it true.
Yeah, so it's true. If it's not true, it will be in about 3 minutes.
Quiet Riot, first #1 heavy metal record, and that was in like '83. I remember because I had just turned 35 at that point. So I know it's weird, but I'm in my early 80s now, and Nick is actually just 50. You're 55, right?
Yeah, 55.
So 55.
Give or take 40 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like we look a little bit different, but this is the thing. I use a lot of Rogaine. And he doesn't use quite as much, but I'm going to loan him some of my Rogaine supplements. I don't want to advertise for Rogaine on here. This is Sweetwater,
They should be using you, though, for an advert.
They should be.
Because the change Rogaine made for you was almost miraculous.
Every day I wake up at 3 p.m., I have a cup of coffee, and I email Rogaine. And I let them know that I'm available if they want to use me for an ad.
So Rogaine, you watching this? Because he's available.
They haven't emailed me back.
Look at this.
I know. I look amazing.
Anyway, so back to riffs. But so Rudy. So he went Quiet Riot, then he went Ozzy Osbourne, who did quite well.
Yeah, he did Ozzy. Then, he's been in a lot of great bands. He was in Whitesnake, one of the greatest, come on. That's all you need to play.
Yep.
I mean, really? But that riff. Right. Do you know where I think they got that riff, by the way? That was like very similar. And I'm not trying to call guys in Whitesnake out.
Right.
Do you remember where that originally came from? Like the vibe from that? You ever heard that song Rat Bat Blue by Deep Purple?
No, I haven't. No.
It was kind of a deep cut. But it was very similar, that riff, Rat Bat Blue.
I'll have to check that out.
It was very similar. Rat Bat Blue.
That was almost the same.
Yeah, it was almost the same. I think I just played Whitesnake, but just called it Deep Purple. But I don't know. I don't want to start a lawsuit, but why not? We're here. Let's start lawsuits.
But Whitesnake, on that '87 album, you got Crying in the Rain as well. Great stuff. And then there's my favorite, though, is Bad Boys.
Oh, yeah.
That's
a great one, too. Yeah, that's a really cool chord. That's a very 80s sounding thing, when you think about bands like Docken. Because Docken is super 80s. So when you get a song like When Heaven Comes Down. I can't play like George Lynch, but who can?
George.
Me and George work out together.
You can tell, actually.
Yep, he's been helping me with my pecs.
Sometimes, for a
And my
long
abs.
time, I actually thought that you and George were the same guy because I never saw you in the same room together. And then
You know
one
what?
day you appeared, and it's like...
A lot of people
that's-
say that, but George is actually, and I'm happy to admit this, he's even better looking than me, and he's more ripped, and
He's better looking than you?
Well,
You serious?
I'm being very generous right now.
Yeah, because to me, this is off subject, but you're kind of like the
Thank you.
Brad Pitt of metal.
Thank you.
Like, Brad Pitt does not get the acting respect he deserves because
Stop it some more.
guys are just jealous of him. So
I-
they dislike him, they put him down. And I think you're painted with that same
I
brush
don't
of...
want to agree
But you agree.
with the camera on, but thank you. And I will get you that 20 spot in a little bit after the cameras are
And I
off.
was just on Twitter, by the way.
You were?
Yeah, and...
You didn't get kicked
Harry's-
off Twitter yet?
No,
What's wrong
not
with
yet.
you? It's like-
Surprised I got that blue thing.
All the cool kids are getting kicked off Twitter.
But Harry Styles said he hated you
He did.
because you look so good.
That's been really the goal of my life, is to have Harry Styles hate me as much as I hate him, because he's so good looking. All the ladies want him, and of course, you know, the natural reaction is to, I want to kill this guy.
Yeah.
I think that's been just part of evolution, is like, I want to kill everybody who's better looking than me, so I'm the last resort. That's my new solo album, by the way. It's called The Last Resort by Satchel. All the girls like flock to The Last Resort, right? It's like 2 a.m. I'm the only guy left with a car to give you a ride home.
So Papa Roach...
Hey, my name's Ted Bundy. Yeah, I got a ride right outside.
So
Hop in my
Papa
Ford.
Roach owe you some royalties then for Last Resort.
What'd you just say?
Papa Roach owe you royalties.
Papa Roach?
Yeah, Last Resort was their first
Oh,
big
did they
song.
already have that?
Yeah. They probably stole it from you.
You know what? They
Another
probably stole it.
lawsuit.
They probably used the Wayback Machine, and they went back into the future. Back to the future. Yeah, you know, those guys, see, Papa Roach, don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
They're really bad for you.
Think once, think twice.
Yeah, you know, Papa Roach, I mean, when I first heard Papa Roach, I was like, oh, okay, so there was almost like the Iron Maiden, right? They did the,
It's a great riff. Yeah.
which is very Iron Maiden. It reminded
Yeah.
me of,
That Number of the Beast. Yeah, you're right. What is that song?
Hallowed Be Thy Name.
But it's another great 80s. That's why the 80s so great.
Another great riff. Iron Maiden had. You know, it's interesting because when you play guitar, like we both do,
Allegedly.
obviously,
Yeah.
you know, and we're both awesome at it, right? You become familiar with keys, and like when I think of like the most metal of keys, what do you think? E,
E or A?
A, yeah, right.
E and A.
So you know.
Oh,
A is a good one. E's a really good one, right? So, you know. I mean, E's got a Back in Black, right?
oh yeah.
Very metal, but one of the most metal songs ever, Number of the Beast, right?
Always, yeah.
It's in D.
And it's
Crazy.
major.
And it's major.
Yeah.
Like they threw us all through a
Huge
loop. Like
purple.
it's so weird, but it's so metal. And when you hear that come on the radio, I mean, it's still like UK, right? The UK, I think every year they go, okay, what's the most metal album ever made? And Number of the Beast.
Number of the Beast
number
always
one,
comes
right?
up, yeah. And that's the thing, that's the great thing about a band like Maiden is they can take a stereotype and make it wrong. Because one of the biggest metal songs of all time is in a major key.
In a major key and D, like you wouldn't think like D. I mean, there's a lot of bands that tune down to D and they do drop D.
Yeah.
But that's not drop D. That's just a regular old D, guys.
D major, yeah.
And it still rocks your balls off. Can I say balls off? Yes, of course I can.
And the other thing that's great about like breaking the laws or breaking the rules is like Mr.
Did you say breaking the law? That wasn't even a segue. He just
Perfect.
it came naturally because that's how heavy metal.
And the 80s, the power of the 80s.
The power of the 80s and the power, that's how much Judas Priest has become part of our culture. You just sort of mention breaking the law and you immediately next time you get pulled over, crank that song up when you roll down your window, and if the cop doesn't let you off,
There's something wrong with
he's
him.
probably under 60 years old.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll be over 60 and not retired. So there's a very small window.
Or he might be a Harry
61.
Styles fan.
Oh, let's hope not.
But anyway, so talking about breaking the laws is that, so Black Sabbath, going back to Black Sabbath, like
Yeah.
the song Black Sabbath, that flat 5, the devil's interval,
It is. You're going to conjure Satan right now as you're playing that.
but then you get George, Mr.
Yeah.
Lynch will go
Yeah.
and make that interval acceptable within heavy metal and make it melodic, like,
I mean, that
flat
is...
5 melodic, brilliant.
I mean, that's such a, like, even the Whitesnake thing, right? That flat 5, I mean, that's definitely a metal interval and a lot of, that Sabbath riff. It's so evil. I mean, I used to sit in my closet and just play that in the dark and see how long I could stay there and not run away.
With that song on loop.
It's a very boring town that I grew up in, so that's what I did.
But did you have that song on loop?
Yeah, I had it on
Yeah.
loop. That was, instead of like spending the money to go to the movies, I would just put that song on and see how long I could be there and be scared in the dark.
And what was your record?
And we didn't have a lot going on in my town. What was my record? About 30 seconds.
Pretty impressive then.
It was impressive.
Yeah. Did you run out screaming?
I did.
Or
I usually
whimpering?
did. I usually ran out screaming. I mean, I was a young kid. I think I was 19. So.
So that would have been
Understandable.
2018 then, if you were 19?
No, it was like, I don't even know if that album had come out yet. when I was 19, yeah. I'm that old, Nick. But it's called Botox.
Yeah.
Botox and Rogaine. I don't know why I keep mentioning these products that have not paid me yet. I need to get paid before I endorse.
Yeah.
I am endorsing the brand new Charvel
Can I ask you
Satchel
about
model, by the way, though.
And it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It's a great guitar. It's got great pickups too, Fishman influence pickups, and you can get it on Sweetwater. And it's I think that might be the only place you can get it.
We sell lots of them, by the way.
Oh, it's a great guitar and it looks killer, and a lot of people think it's a Zebra. They're like, oh, that's a bitchin' looking Zebra guitar, but it's not. It's not a Zebra. Oh, you're over there, red light. It's not a Zebra. It's actually a tiger.
Ah,
A white tiger.
A white tiger, there you go.
White Tiger, which was one of the band names we considered. Before we came up with Steel Panther, we were like, well, there's White Lion, maybe we should be White Tiger.
Oh, they had some riffs as well.
And then we were like, well, no, there's too much white. People think we're white nationalists. That's not good. We'll go with Steel Panther instead. That's more inclusive, right? Steel Panther, it's, steel, which is the heaviest substance.
Apart from maybe titanium.
No, steel's
Steel's heavier. Okay.
I talked to the scientist.
Wikipedia.
Steel's the heaviest substance in nature.
Okay.
Don't
So
argue.
you're learning some stuff here,
And
kids.
panthers are the fiercest marsupials
They are marsupials,
on
aren't
the
they? Yeah.
planet. They are marsupials. And
People
they're the
don't know
fiercest
that.
ones. I don't know if you know this, but a panther can kill up to 10 bison with one
Swipe?
swipe. Yes.
Wow.
Did you study this too?
They're,
They're super fierce.
once on Wikipedia it says that. Did you put that in there, by the way?
The only way, listen, if you're ever faced with a panther,
You need 10 bison.
just not even a steel panther, but just a regular panther in an alley by yourself at night, the only way to escape is to stop breathing entirely
Right.
and look down. Don't ever make eye contact if you'll die instantly. So anyway, that's some good information to have in case
Yeah.
you're
No, that is good because
in an alley.
that
with a
could
panther.
happen. That's
It could happen. It might,
within the realms of probability that could
if it
happen
ever
in your lifetime.
There's a lot of people that are dead right now, and they might have died that way. We don't know because
It's a
dead men
panther.
tell no tales, right?
Yeah,
Is that a heavy metal song?
yeah. I think it's Motorhead.
Oh, good. You know the riff for that?
I don't actually, but I should.
I'm
Criminal.
low-hanging fruit. I'm throwing them out there.
Yeah, I know, low hanging fruit. But
Is that a heavy metal song? Heavy metal, Low Hanging Fruit? It should be.
Should be.
I think it might be a new Steel Panther song, Low Hanging Fruit.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a song about all the other songs that we write. Like the old folk song.
So you got that.
Yeah,
that's that great chord, another Lynch special.
That's very, very Docken-y. Great chord. It's a very heavy metal.
Now the question is that an augmented chord or is it an inverted major? I don't know.
Well, I'm going to settle this once and for all. Augmented is way too complicated of a word.
Just call it a cool chord.
But inverted is too complicated as well.
So it's just a cool chord.
So
then.
you can call it whatever you want. I mean, it's just as long as you know how to do it. Seems like it would be an inverted major.
Yeah.
Because
that's kind of A.
That's like an A, right?
Yeah.
But here's the question.
Go on.
When you're doing it like this, because we're in the key of E, that's like an A. Right? I feel like it's an A with a third in the bass. Okay, but when you got a song like, what is it?
That's the Swedish chap. Yeah, that's definitely that has to be
the Swedish chap.
That has to be augmented.
That's augmented. See, Yngwie, he's all about the harmonic minor and the augmented, and that's where. But Lynch.
It's inverted.
Lynch is inverted. Yngwie's augmented. That's how you know the difference, guys. Oh, there you go. How do you like that little chromatic climb there?
Yeah.
I mean, I bet you didn't think that Warrant.
Joey and the boys could do that, but they did. Those riffs are hard.
I didn't say it. He said it. Okay, you can blame Nick for that. Joey and the boys didn't think they were that smart.
But they are.
Okay, but they are.
One of the smartest bands out there. I've covered had the honor of playing Cherry Pie with them.
Is this the first time Warrant has ever been called one of the smartest bands out there?
If it is, it's wrong because it should have been said before.
It should have been said years ago.
Because if you play their songs, like most bands, once you learn the verse, you know the verse. In Warrant songs like Damn Boys, the first verse and the second verse are slightly different. So if you just play the first verse and the second verse, you've played it wrong.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So when you're thinking about smart band, yes, Phil Collins, Gentle Giant, Warrant.
Polyphia. And Warrant, yeah.
I can't even pronounce whatever that band was.
Polyphia?
Polyphia. Whatever you said, those guys they're so complicated. That's how they read them out. They're like, if you can't pronounce our name, you can't buy the record.
Yep.
Right? But then again, we don't have to buy the record because we just stream it for free.
Yeah. And that trumpet solo on that big song is great.
They have a trumpet solo?
Yeah, at the end.
You're telling me that Polyphia has a trumpet solo?
They have this amazing song. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that Steve Vai's on.
Oh, I heard that already.
He plays epically, they play epically, and my brain is so small, the only thing I remember is the trumpet solo at the end, which is brilliant, by the way.
Listen, Steve Vai,
on a different level.
I love Steve Vai. He's great. He's amazing. And this is the thing. I hate him. I'm going to say it right now. I hate you, Steve Vai.
Because he's good looking like Harry Styles?
Well, yeah, he's good looking, and he's even good looking in his old age. And not to say you're old, Steve, because you're younger than me, but Steve Vai is a great guitar player. And he's also very humble and nice.
Yes, he is.
So I just it makes you want to kick his ass even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't meet him until maybe about 8 years ago. I was emceeing an Yngwie Malmsteen competition in Miami, and Steve was there, and one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And
I know.
I'll never forget, Yngwie was playing on stage with Mr. Sarzo, by the way, and Nico McBrain, talking about
Sarzo, super nice guy, really great bass player, super nice guy. Like, why? Why do you have to be so nice? Why don't give me something to hate about you?
And you can't.
I know. So
you hate him because he's so nice.
And because of that, I hate him even more. It's so bizarre because you just want to like the guy because he's super talented and super nice.
So anyway, so on stage you've got You've got Mr. Malmsteen, augmented Swede.
Has he ever been called Mr. Malmsteen by anybody? Nick Bowcott, okay? Mr. Malmsteen. And how nice is this guy?
It's a term of
He's
endearment.
gonna strangle this guy, right? Like he's up here just being nice, calling people Mr. and Mrs. Like,
No.
talented and really a good-looking guy too.
And he's a good liar. Convinced your nose grew like 3 feet when you said all that, by the way.
Lying though, that's the thing. These cameras don't even have filters on them, and you still look great for your age.
Opticians. See an optician.
What did you just say? I'm so deaf I couldn't hear you. Obstetrician? What did you say?
Obstetrician.
What did you say?
But anyway, so going back to Vi, so you've
You're an
got...
obstetrician? And he's smart too. He's got a degree in whatever field that is.
Yeah. So you've got Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden,
Is
Rudy
it?
Sarzo, and
By the way,
Yngwie Malmsteen
can we just talk
playing
about
together.
Nico McBrain, by the way? I'm not even a drummer, but he's got the most bitchin' name.
It's a brilliant name.
It's a... You have to cancel that word out.
Yeah, so Nico
It's a
McBrain
great name, McBrain.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to be smart with that name, do you? I mean, McBrain.
No. And he's a super nice guy too.
God, you're depressing me.
So you've got
I should be
Yngwie,
so much nicer.
Mr. Vi.
You think I'm nice?
Yes, very nice.
Are you just saying that because the camera's on right now?
No, this is Mr. Satchel, folks.
Thank you.
Mr. Satchel, not
We're gonna
just
run out of
Satchel,
tape.
but
We're gonna run out of tape.
But so very quickly, so you've got Steve Vai, you've got Yngwie Malmsteen,
Super
you've
nice.
got
Super nice. Malmsteen,
Mr.
super nice.
McBrain,
That's all I hear about that.
Mr.
guy.
McBrain and also Rudy Sarzo, and they're jamming Ain't Talking About Love by Van Halen.
Are
and
they?
It's magnificent. And then Steve Vai walks off.
I really kind of need the MXR pedal, which
Yeah.
you'd think we would have. We're at Sweetwater with that. Oh, you got it right there.
It's plugged in, yeah.
Well, then why am I playing it? You should be playing.
Well, because that was 79, so it misses by a year, but it
I
was
know,
a precursor to the brilliance.
This is the great thing about the 80s. It extends all the way into the early 70s. A lot of people don't know that.
And it also extends this way to right now. You're
But-
living, breathing proof of
That's
that.
true. I mean, when you think about the 80s, like, I mean, would the 80s be the 80s without Van Halen? And would Van Halen be Van Halen without Van Halen 1? The answer is no.
Mind blown. Yeah.
You can't have the 80s
Without
without
those
Ain't
guys.
Talking About Love, without everything Van Halen 1. Van Halen 2 came out in 79.
Yeah,
I mean, listen,
ridiculous.
you know, as far as I'm concerned, great stuff. Great. It's very 80s. It was very, I mean, awesome guitar riffs. Obviously, everything that Van Halen ever did was
Yeah.
awesome.
Wasn't this one? That's on Van Halen too as well, is it? Great stuff. Oh, yeah.
I mean, just that alone, right? Like, without that riff might sum up the 80s right there. Just first time I heard somebody do that in the 80s, I was like, game over. Like,
Yep.
I don't care how good you get at picking and hammer-ons and pull-offs. All you need is that. And you're walking out with all the girls in the room.
Or maybe,
Yeah, I mean, well, Eddie Van Halen was like, well, he didn't stop there.
no,
and
he just
gave us-
went on and on and on.
He gave us everything else.
Rewrote the book, raised the bar, broke the old one, put a new one up.
Really, yeah, he really did. Really did some awesome stuff. I mean, you know, is there anything there's nothing we could add to the Eddie Van Halen conversation except, you know what? I'll add something. He was also a really nice guy.
Yeah, I had the privilege of working with him. In fact,
Did you really?
that's the only Lefty VH Art Series.
And
that
you
is-
got it.
I got it, thanks to Mr. Dimebag Darrell, the gift that keeps on giving.
That's really great. Did you guys see this? Did you see it? Can I pick it up?
Yes, you can. Don't even look at it, no.
I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to look away. The Lefty Art Series. That's killer. Oops. No, I'm just kidding.
It's been dropped.
I wouldn't. It has been
Of
dropped.
course, it's supposed to be played.
But that's how heavy metal that guitar is. If you can't drop your guitar and let it survive, then maybe your guitar isn't really that good.
They're tools.
Every
to be
morning
played.
when I wake up at 3 p.m., I drop
it.
this on the ground.
Prior to your Botox.
And just,
And Rogaine.
you know, I do Botox 3 times a day. That's why I look so good. I do look good, right?
Look great.
Thank you. You don't have to keep complimenting, though.
Well, it's really hard being in this presence. There's an aura here.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's intimidating but inspiring at the same time, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Because it gives me something to, you're playing.
It's exactly how I wrote that for you.
Yeah, it's good. And it's on a teleprompter right there, folks.
Yes.
With a threat of violence underneath it.
We borrowed that teleprompter from Rob Halford, by the way. He let us borrow it.
Thanks, Bruce.
And Bruce Dickinson. Bruce Dickinson told us where to get it. Yeah. And by the way, congratulations to Judas Priest, the guys in Judas Priest, for being inducted into the Rock and Roll.
Finally.
They deserve it. Yes.
So to conclude,
what?
Why does the 80s
Are we concluding already? It seems like we should be going on longer.
Or should we? Let's just go on and we can.
Let's conclude.
Yeah.
And are we concluding wrapping the 80s up? By the way, I learned this just for today, and I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna do it because I learned it. I was like, oh, we're gonna be rocking. Oh wait, I don't want to step on the tuner. Hold on. How do I change channels on this baby? Oh, here we go.
The button, you got it.
Okay, one of the coolest riffs from the 80s.
Yeah, this is the clean one you were talking about.
This is a clean one. I like one of the coolest riffs from the 80s, and every time I heard it, I was like, God, that's really cool. I mean, and when I play it, you're gonna be like, oh, of course that's cool. And it's not a distorted riff, but it's one of the coolest riffs. It's the... I mean,
Def Leppard, man.
So cool, right? Like, it's such a cool change. And when you hear it and you're a guitar player, you're like, you know it's cool. And you know it's a weird chord change, but you don't know the chord change because you haven't learned it yet. And then 40 years later, you're gonna sit down with Nick at Sweetwater and you're like, I gotta learn the chords. It's so cool. It's such a cool, actually the first note is.
Yeah, he does
and
a
then it
slide
goes, which is beautiful. And then this. And then it's like D flat, which is awesome. And so that would be like an E7, right? So it goes B flat to E7. I love that chord change. You know who else loves that chord change?
Black Sabbath. No.
Black Sabbath.
Yeah. E, B
Chris
flat.
Cornell. He used it all the time.
You are right.
Like Soundgarden stuff, and his solo stuff. He was great writer.
Talking of clean, though, being as you've played that, because Def Leppard, what an underrated band in terms of playing, because they made the heavy metal Thriller with Pyromania and Hysteria.
Yeah.
But some of their clean stuff is amazing. So via Digital Magic, I'm just going to change the clean. Well, let me change the clean.
Are you going to change the clean too?
Yeah, just because there's a riff
I've finally influenced. You're not.
Heavily.
Oh, you're over there now. I've finally influenced Nick Bowcott. I've become an influence. I turned clean and he went to clean.
And I thought, just unplug myself.
How great is that?
I suck.
Like, you influenced me, and now see how it comes back around?
Yeah, we should just leave
When
this
you're a
in,
baby, you
'cause
get your
it's
diapers
klutzy
changed,
as-
and then when you get older, you got to change your diapers on your grandparents. Not to say you're, I mean, I'm older than you, but you know what I'm saying.
So on
I'm digging a hole right now.
A huge hole, but keep
Never
going.
gonna get out
It's
of
good.
it. Never getting out of it. Nick, what are we going to play?
On Hysteria, there's a song called Gods of War.
Yes.
And how it finishes, this might be take 451, because I'm probably going to mess it up the first time.
That's
but
okay.
this part, I didn't realize this, but when you watch In the Round in Your Face, you know, that live thing, when you realize just how amazing Def Leppard were, the bass player, Rick, plays this part on an acoustic.
Oh, yeah.
So
you know, he writes a lot of that stuff.
He does.
He's really fantastic.
He's kind of like the Charlie Benante of
He's this
Def Leppard.
Quiet guy in the back, just writing hit after hit after hit, just hanging out with all the hot chicks. Anyway, go on.
So this is the part that Mr. Rick Savage plays live. He probably played it in the studio as well from the end of Dogs of War. And it's the same thing as, it's one of the things where you go, I've got to learn that because it's really cool. So Like I said, take 485, give or take.
Right. And that's on Gods of War song?
Yeah, at the end of Gods of War.
Those are great chords. Awesome
It's
chords.
really cool. I messed it up a little bit, but that chord.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Def Leppard, I mean, to me, like, Def Leppard, when I think of, like, heavy metal, especially from the early 80s, like, Def Leppard was, you know, one of the best bands, still one of the best bands. And one of the things I loved about Def Leppard was their clean guitar work, like, in between, like...
Yeah, light and shade.
I mean, gave it so much, so the dynamics were so great, right? So, and, you know, that, like, really, really cool, very simple.
Or this one.
Yeah, that one's a great one too. Definitely a great band.
Almost as cool as... Nope.
Oh, you're talking, are you giving a nod to Steel Panther?
Yeah, it's almost as cool as this.
Well, you know, I don't know if anything I've ever written has been as cool as Def Leppard, but...
That reminds me of it though.
You know, it's the add 9 chord. You know, those guys. It's like the those chords with those weird notes in between them, right? Those add 9 chords, these suspended chords. Those are always really cool for acoustic guitars. You know, open strings. So open strings, you know, that's a very 80s thing. A lot of people don't realize.
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like,
you're right.
Open guitar strings on acoustic or electric with clean tone is always a cool thing, and it gets a lot of girls. I don't know what it is. The girls love open strings. Guys, if you're single at home, about to go to those dirty websites again, play some open strings. Girls will be banging on your door.
So there you have it. Open chords with interesting voicings, and you're in like Flint.
Oh my God, you know. Mom, what can I do to get girls? Should I go on Tinder? No, learn some open chords with interesting voicings, son. Thanks, Mom.
So I think there you have it, folks, why the 80s are amazing.
That is why the 80s, that pretty much sums up why the 80s
In a nutshell, it was all down to that end thing. Forget Tinder, it's all about the open chords with open ringing voicings.
You don't need Tinder when you got open voicings, guys.
I got to ask you this, though. You just like Dimebag, you have tape on your bridge pick? No, on your neck pickup.
Did Dime do that too?
Yeah, just to stop because you got it so high.
Yeah, no, I guess I end up getting my pick cut. Oh, the string gets caught.
Yeah.
I'll hit that high string, and
really
if that tape's not there, it gets under the pickup. And then I'm trying to play lead, and it's making this horrible sound. Because the string's like over here. And I'm like, why do I sound horrible right now? And then I realize the string's and it's embarrassing, and girls are looking at me like, oh my God, and they look down, and I'm like,
yeah, because you just played those beautiful open chords.
Trying to play an open voicing, and like the strings underneath the pickup. So I put the tape there, but it kind of blends in with the I know what you're thinking. It's a zebra stripe. It's not. It's a tiger stripe. It's a white tiger. Back to the beginning. This is why we're Steel Panther. So tape helps.
Cool. And there you have it, folks. Open chords, tape helps, Botox, Rogaine.
That Steel Panther guy won't stop talking. Nick's just trying to end it, and all he's talking about is the tape on his guitar. Just end it.
It's my fault. I asked you the question.
I'm sorry I ramble so much.
No, it was there's rambling, and that was wonderful rambling.
Thank you.
That was rambling goes to 11.
This is why he's such a nice guy.
Rambling on 11. So thanks for watching, folks. We're going to play out like we played in with a bunch of riffs, and this is Satchel. And a new album coming out.
We do have a brand new record coming out. It's called On the Prowl, and it's coming out in February
of 2023.
2029? 23.
And that's also your 21st birthday's next year as well.
And George Lynch played all the solos.
Again? I mean, really?
Yes. Yeah, we're not supposed to tell people that. But yes. And Nick played a bunch of them too.
The ones that aren't really quite as good.
The ones that are really good are Nick.
And did you get Yngwie in for that augmented chord in that one song?
I tried to get Yngwie, but he didn't call me back.
He didn't?
No. Again.
I
keep leaving a message. Dude, I heard you're nice. Call me back. Click.
So you told George it was an inverted chord that really was augmented, so George played it.
Remember, this is how we tell the difference. George is inverted, Yngwie is augmented.
And on that note, Thanks for watching. Here's some more riffage.
I wanted to do the drum riff. Bah! Boom, boom. Great stuff. Okay, let me think. The hardest riff ever.